In today's relentless pace, have you ever craved a moment of sheer tranquility amidst the notifications, the unyielding pressures, the looming deadlines? What if there was a way to find an unshakable calm? I recently penned down my thoughts on this in a detailed blog post because the power of this philosophy is truly transformative. Originating from ancient Greece, Stoicism has been a silent mentor for many over millennia. Among them, an emperor, Marcus Aurelius, not in a grand palace, but often from a battlefield tent. He penned down reflections that resonate eerily well in our modern world. Think about it for a second. An emperor, the most powerful man in the world at his time, taking a moment on a battlefield to jot down his innermost thoughts. Of course, he had no intention of making it available to the world. He sought clarity amidst the chaos of war. And here we are in a very different world. We're facing a different battle, not too dissimilar to what Marcus Aurelius and other famous Stoics like Seneca also faced. However, we're facing one that's a real threat in our lives, possibly even more so than it was in the past. And that is the battle against our minds. Technology is a very powerful vice. Of course, we've got social media apps like Instagram, TikTok. It's a very difficult battle, I think. One that a lot of self-help gurus and experts claim to know the answer to. In reality, in my opinion, there's no clear answer. You'll always strive to get better at it. I don't think it's something you can perfect. In what I've tried, it's about accepting where you're at in your life and looking at ways in which you can improve every day and get closer to your innermost thoughts. Now, it may sound hokey pokey at this point, and I don't blame you. Throughout my teenage years, I looked at Stoic and mindfulness practices and I thought, someone like me who has a million thoughts racing in my mind every day, it's probably not as good as it should be for me. And we all want something that we can relate to, right? When you start exposing yourself to those practices very, very slowly, very gradually, you can notice a really amazing effect. However, I do want to tell you 2 beginner strategies that you should start implementing in your daily lives. So number 1 is one that you may have heard of already. If you read books on self-help, you'll probably find a strategy called the locus of control. This is where people say to themselves that on one side, what happens to me externally, I have no control over. And on the other side, you have people who say, I can control whatever's in my control. And this is what we call a dichotomy of control. If we upset that balance, then we get overwhelmed. Let's take 2 students who've done an exam. Both of them get the same grade. So they both get a C. And depending on how you look at it, it's not really a good result at all, especially if you want to get the higher grades. A C is like heartbreak. So person number 1 says, I got a C because I didn't study hard enough, I was too complacent, and I just underestimated how difficult the exam would be. Next time, I'll make sure that I put in a plan, put in a schedule, tackle the hard topics to make sure that the next time that they do the test, they'll do better than the last time. So in other words, this person can influence what they can do. Now, they can't influence the outcome, which is the grade. Okay, this has happened. It's because I did this. Next time I need to do this. So the second type of person who gets a C has a very different outlook. Well, I didn't get the grade I wanted because the teacher doesn't like me. The questions were very difficult. How can anyone answer this? Or I'm going to go talk to my friends and say, this exam was really difficult. How could anyone write an exam paper like this? Don't pretend that you haven't done it before. I used to do it socially. We're wired to seek validation from others. So in this example, going out to see others after the exam to validate your view, this person has completely transferred responsibility away from themselves and onto others, external circumstances. They're avoiding the real problem, which is probably their preparation, the amount of time they spent studying for this exam. the approach they had to answering the questions. And this is not to say, again, that we can influence the outcome. It's how we deal with the outcome that matters. And that is the dichotomy of control. There's no point in trying to focus on things that are out of our control, because they're always going to be out of our reach. But what we can control is the actions that we take to get towards a particular outcome. Whether or not we achieve it is another matter, right? So that is the dichotomy of control in a nutshell. Next is momentary reflections. There's been various podcasts that I've listened to, and a lot of them say the same thing. Just take a step back and pause. It's very easy to just go through this Groundhog Day. As you get older, you feel that when you're a kid, time goes so slowly because every day feels different. When you get older and you get more responsibilities and your day starts to look the same, then we can get trapped, especially when you start working a 9-to-5 job like I am. Literally take a step back, breathe. This can be a full body scan where you literally stand or sit for a moment and just notice everything that's going on in your body. There are plenty of apps like Medito and Calm and Headspace which help you do that. I personally use Medito. What this allows you to do is not react, but act. Because you're taking a step back, you're taking stock of what you're doing, and just say, right, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's ahead of me in terms of the situation. Because in life, if we don't plan, then we're just literally planning to fail. So it's good to take a step back. So just give your brain a bit of a shutdown. It takes time, but the benefits you'll get from it is amazing. And I do not recommend it enough. So those are the 2 practices for you today, guys. The dichotomy of control, to focus on what you can control and literally discard the rest. And the second strategy, to take a momentary reflection. Start with something as simple as a minute. Work your way up to 5 minutes, then maybe 10 minutes. Gradual implementation is the key here. And if this discussion added value to you in any way, or if you're on this introspective journey just like myself, do consider subscribing. Feel free to leave a comment and review. And so my final message is this: don't be afraid to take a step back in your life. Look at what you're doing, how you're feeling, and how you can move forward. Also, consider taking responsibility for what you do in your life. The outcomes are not in your control. A footballer does not go into a match knowing that they'll win. They will have extreme confidence that they believe they can win, but the outcome is not guaranteed. It's very, very tough, but it's a very effective process. Stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, and do check out the blog post if you feel that you need a bit of a deeper dive. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next episode.